welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1995 comedy classic, Tommy Boy, starring the late great Chris Farley, David Spade, Dan Aykroyd is in this for a short time, Bo Derek, Brian Dennehy's in a little bit of it, Rob Lowe is in this movie. It's crazy. It's an all-star cast. For those of you joining us for the first time, the B Movie Club, what we like to do is discuss movies that may be a little bit off the beaten path. You know, movies we enjoyed way back in the day but maybe haven't thought of in the last 15 or so years. Try to dig them up out of the grave and revisit them. So, feel free to go onto our page on Facebook, the original B Movie Club, and like it so you can get all of our latest updates. Also, go to our page on YouTube, KD9575. Look for my smiling face and subscribe. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything but time. Also, you can reach me on Twitter at KD9575. Each week I ask, what movie should I do? And I ask you to send in your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, any questions or comments you might have. And we'll discuss it on the show. So there you have it. And don't forget to spread the word, please. Tommy Boy. In the story, you got this loser, Tommy Boy, played by Chris Farley, who is finally graduated from from college after 7 years, which in this economy sounds about right. And he's gone home to Sandusky, Ohio, to basically take part in his family company, the Callahan Auto Parts industry, run by his father, Brian Dennehy. And right as he's about to get married, Brian Dennehy's about to get married to his new fiancée, Bo Derek, he drops dead. He gets married and dies. Bang. Literally on the dance floor. Very sad. So now Tommy Boy has to save the company. He has to go on the road with a friend he knew vaguely from high school who also works for the company. That's David Spade, who they have kind of contentious relationship. David Spade's character, he's smart and all these things, kind of a jerk, and Tommy Boy's obviously a slacker, so So he goes on the road, and he's not a good salesman. Shocker. He eventually turns a corner, but one thing leads to another, and things aren't working out. We discover that Bo Derek and Rob Lowe, they're actually... Rob Lowe is supposed to be Bo Derek's son, but evidently they're not mother and son. They're actually lovers. It's very incestuous. I can't explain it all. But they're actually trying to sabotage the company for reasons of their own. I don't want to spoil everything. I want you guys to feel like you should rush out and check it out. It is still streaming instantly on Netflix for a limited time. If you don't have a copy, rush out and get it. I really enjoyed this movie. It was, in my opinion, like the one really good Chris Farley movie. And at the time, I felt it was better than most of the Adam Sandler movies that were coming out about that time. Like, I thought it was much better than Billy Madison. My personal opinion, take of it what you will. Obviously, he went on to do Black Sheep with David Spade again, which is basically the exact same movie. So, you can skip it. And then later he did Beverly Hills Ninja. I don't think I even need to tell you. Skip that one as well, obviously. David Spade, obviously, was like his sidekick for all this time. He went on to do Just Shoot Me, and he's on Rules of Engagement. I don't know. I've never watched it. What can I tell you? Things you might want to know about this movie. It's actually loosely based, and by loosely I mean incredibly loosely based, on Hamlet. Tommy Boy is based on the Hamlet character, and his father dies suddenly, and then there's the stuff with the mother. It's all... I can't get into it, okay? It's very, very loosely based. Also, another movie that was loosely based on Hamlet, Strange Brew. Shocking, I know. So, there you have it. Another movie loosely based on Hamlet, Hamlet, starring Mel Gibson. So there you go. That was a little joke. Thank you. I'm here all week. What else can I tell you about this movie? There's a scene in this movie Actually, they said that David Spade would not allow the hairdressers to touch his hair. Like, he insisted on doing his own hair. Why? That's an interesting question. Take a look at his hairline and maybe you'll get some interesting sneak peek as to why that might be so. Needless to say, his hair looked kind of crazy throughout the entire movie, a little rumpled, if you will. In fact, there's one scene where a car engine turns on and blows his comb-over back. I don't know. Was that real? I don't know. Maybe it was an outtake. I can't explain it. Obviously, I'm very hyper-aware of crazy hairlines. That's all I can tell you. Tommy Boy's famous catchphrase was "son of a," if he'd bang his head or walk into something or some way injure himself. He actually says this catchphrase 10 times during the course of the movie, which is why, as we all remember in 1995, "son of a" swept the nation. I remember kids were saying it, parish priests were saying it during their sermons. It was crazy. It was excessive, in my opinion. There's a scene where David Spade and Chris Farley go to a diner, and they, Chris Farley gets the waitress to turn on the ovens and bring him some food or whatever. The waitress role is originally supposed to be played by Roseanne, which is why the waitress kind of looks kind of Roseanne-y, if you will. But she dropped out for various reasons. There's also a scene when Bo Derek is coming out of the pool, looking quite skeletal, in my opinion, where Chris Farley said, "Oh, Dad, she's like a 10. As we all know, Bo Derek was in the movie 10, which, you may not remember, actually starred Brian Dennehy as well. So there you go. Rob Lowe, like I said, was in this movie. For some reason, about this time, he appeared in a lot of Saturday Night Live movies. Obviously, he was in this movie. He was also in Wayne's World. This was kind of a rough patch for old Rob. He didn't go on to do The West Wing for several years later, and I think he was just, prior to this, the last movie you had seen him in was that Crazy Sex Tape. So there you go. Good times had by all. This movie got a 45% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. That is a travesty. Granted, it's not going to win any Academy Awards. David Spade's acting, not great. I mean, we all know the scene where he screams, "Call 911!" That was meant to be his Oscar moment. Obviously, it didn't work out for him. But it's fun. It definitely has a few laughs. There are poignant scenes, There's all sorts of good stuff in this movie. So I highly recommend it. There's something for everybody. Check it out. Again, it is streaming instantly on Netflix. I opened up the doors and I asked everybody, what are some favorite quotes? And Melissa came out with a bunch of them that she enjoyed. Melissa enjoyed "Quit Playing With Your Dinghy," always a classic. "Ugh, I can actually hear you getting fatter," another one. Karen also came to the table with "Fat Guy in a Little Coat." Fat guy in a little coat. You know it, don't you? There are a million funny lines in this. I'm going to share one of my favorites later. Next week, I am leaving the comedy genre and I'm going back to action for the 70s classic Death Wish, starring Charles Bronson. Okay, I'm going to be working on my Charles Bronson impression. That is the worst Charles Bronson impression in the world. Maybe I don't... You know what? Let's go back to the drawing board with that one. Forget you ever saw that. That was horrible. Charles Bronson. He has a death wish. Need I say more? Check it out. It is streaming instantly on Netflix, so by all means, check it out. And send in your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, anything else you want to get off your chest, you know what I'm saying? I'm here for you. So, as you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote, and here it is. Don't run away from your feelings!